Samuel Wright adjusted his formal diplomatic suit and took a deep breath as the grand doors to the Galactic Council chamber slid open. The massive circular room always made him feel small. 57 alien species were represented here, their seats arranged in tiers based on their time of admission. Humanity's seats were in the back row, barely visible from the central speaking platform. Ready for another day of being ignored, Melissa Carter whispered beside him. Her blonde hair was pulled back in a tight bun, her expression carefully neutral as council guards watched them enter. "Let's just stick to the plan," Samuel replied. In his briefcase were digital files containing proof that 3 council species had been mining asteroids in Earth's solar system without permission or compensation. The Earth year was 2157. Humans had been part of the Galactic Council for only 23 years, babies compared to the Zorthan, who had been spacefaring for over 10,000 years. The blue-skinned, six-eyed Zorthan occupied the most prominent seats in the chamber, along with their longtime allies, the insectoid Velari. High Elder Zix Tereth, the Zorthan representative, struck the ceremonial chime to begin the session. His deep voice echoed through the chamber. "The Council recognizes the human delegation for their scheduled petition." Samuel walked to the central platform, feeling the weight of dozens of alien gazes, some curious, some dismissive, some openly hostile. "Esteemed members of the Council," he began. "For the 6th time this cycle, Earth formally requests the removal of trade restrictions on human ships in the Orient sector." Low murmurs filled the room. The restrictions had been put in place supposedly for safety reasons, but in reality they prevented human businesses from competing with established Council interests. "The Safety Committee has reviewed your request," replied Trelnax, the Velari ambassador, her mandibles clicking irritably. "The restrictions remain necessary due to human vessels' unpredictable engine signatures." Samuel fought to keep his temper. "Our engine signatures meet all Council standards. We have submitted certification from 3 independent inspectors. Perhaps in time, with more experience," Zix Tereth said, his tone making it clear the discussion was over. Samuel took another deep breath. "Then we wish to present evidence of Council violations of Earth territorial sovereignty." He activated his data pad, and images appeared on the main display. Alien mining ships clearly operating in Earth's solar system, timestamps and coordinates visible. The Council chamber grew quiet. "These operations were never approved by Earth government," Samuel continued. 3 Council species have removed approximately 18 billion credits worth of resources from our system. Zix Tarath looked bored. "A simple misunderstanding of boundary definitions, I'm sure. We will form a committee to investigate over the next standard year." "A year?" Samuel couldn't hide his frustration. "This is happening now. The Council has procedures," Ambassador Wright. Trelnax said coldly. "If humans wish to be part of galactic civilization, they must learn patience." Back in their small embassy office, Melissa threw her data pad onto the desk. "They're stealing from us while telling us to be patient. This is the 4th time they've delayed responding to our evidence." Samuel looked out the window at the gleaming towers of Sendera Prime, the Council capital. "Send everything to Earth. President Bennett needs to know the Council isn't acting in good faith." 12 hours later, in the Oval Office on Earth, Defense Secretary Gregory Powell stood before President Laura Bennett. The President listened intently as he explained the latest diplomatic failure. "Madam President, I believe it's time to activate contingency planning," Powell said gravely. "The Council is treating Earth as a resource to be exploited, not as an equal member." President Bennett studied the images of alien mining operations in Earth's asteroid belt. Her gray eyes hardened. "How quickly can we remove our people from Council space if needed?" "Operation Exodus has been in development since first contact. Admiral Rodriguez estimates 4 months for complete withdrawal," Powell replied. "Let's hope it doesn't come to that." The President stood and walked to the window, looking up at the stars. "Give the Council one more chance to address our concerns. After that, She turned back to Powell. We prepare to show them exactly how independent humanity can be. 6 months passed with no progress. Samuel Wright stood at the window of the human embassy, watching the 3 suns of Xandera Prime set in sequence. Each day felt like another failure. His communication device chimed. Ambassador Wright. The message read, High Elder Zixtarath requests a private meeting at moonrise. Location, Garden of Whispers. Samuel frowned. Private meetings outside official channels were unusual in council protocol. I don't like this, Melissa said when he showed her the message. The Garden of Whispers has no surveillance. It's where deals are made off the record. Which is exactly why I need to go, Samuel replied. We haven't made any progress through official channels. The Garden of Whispers lived up to its name. Tall blue plants with bell-shaped flowers absorbed sound, creating pockets of perfect privacy. In the center of the garden, High Elder Zixtarath waited, his blue skin almost glowing in the moonlight. Ambassador Wright, the Zorthan said smoothly. Thank you for coming. What's this about, Elder Zixtarath? Samuel asked directly. The Zorthan smiled, showing teeth that looked too sharp for a diplomat. Humans are impatient, but sometimes that is refreshing. Let me be direct as well. Your situation in the council can improve immediately. How? Share your faster-than-light drive technology. The human method is unique and more efficient than our own. Give us this, and suddenly all these trade restrictions and territorial disputes vanish. Samuel kept his face neutral, but his mind raced. The human FTL drive was one of the few technological advantages Earth had. They had developed it independently, surprising the Council who had assumed humans were decades away from such advancement. That technology is not on the table, Samuel said firmly. Zixtarath's 6 eyes blinked in sequence. Then I cannot help you. The Council has already voted on the next step. You will learn of it tomorrow. The next day, the full Council announced a new protective oversight policy for human space. Council ships would be stationed throughout Earth's solar system to ensure compliance with galactic regulations. In effect, it was a military occupation disguised as protection. Back on Earth, President Bennett called an emergency meeting. It gets worse, Security Chief Natalie Rogers said, sliding a datapad across the table. Our intelligence agents intercepted these communications between Council species. President Bennett's face darkened as she read. They're planning to place weapons platforms in our system, not just observation posts. They want our FTL technology, Samuel explained via secure video link from Xandera Prime. Zixtarath made that clear in our private meeting. I believe this protective oversight is meant to pressure us into sharing it. Admiral Diana Rodriguez spoke next. Madam President, Operation Exodus is ready. We can begin withdrawing our people from Council space immediately. The President was silent for a long moment, looking at the faces of her advisors. Samuel, you've worked with these species for years. In your opinion, is there any path forward where we're treated as equals? Samuel thought carefully before answering. No, Madam President. The older species, particularly the Zorthan and Velari, see us as useful tools at best. They want what we have, but they don't respect us as equals. President Bennett nodded slowly. Then we have one more card to play. Send an official ultimatum to the Council. Either they respect our sovereignty or Earth will reconsider its membership. 3 days later, Samuel delivered the ultimatum to the full Council. The chamber erupted in shouts and arguments. Order, shouted Zixtarath. This is clearly an empty threat. Put it to vote. The vote was decisive, 7-3 to ignore the human ultimatum. Only the Arctians and 2 minor species sided with Earth. As Samuel and Melissa left the chamber, an Arctian representative hurried to catch up with them. They believe you are bluffing, the crystalline alien whispered. Are you? Samuel looked the Arctian in its faceted eyes. Watch and see. That night, Samuel sent one word to Earth. Exodus. Within hours, Human ships across Council space began powering up their engines. Admiral Diana Rodriguez stood in the command center of Earth's orbital defense station. Dozens of screens showed human activity across Council space. Green dots represented human ships, bases, and colonies. There were thousands of them. Operation Exodus is now active, she announced to her staff. All units acknowledge and begin withdrawal procedures. One by one, commanders from across known space confirmed their orders. The largest evacuation in human history had begun. On the colony world of New Eden, families packed only what they could carry. Ships that normally transported goods now filled with people. Governor Frank Miller spoke to nervous crowds. "This is not a drill," he told them. "Every human must be on a ship within 48 hours. The Council does not know our plans yet. We must move quickly." Chief Engineer Paul Davidson worked with his team on Earth. Their job was critical, cutting off Council ability to track human movements. "We need to disable every tracking beacon on every human ship simultaneously," Paul told his team. "The moment the Council realizes what we're doing, they'll try to stop us." His fingers flew over the control panel. "Uploading communication blackout protocol now. In 3 hours, all human communications with Council systems will go dark." In deep space, Captain Eric Mitchell received his orders aboard the U.S. Defiant. His ship was one of Earth's most advanced warships. "We're the distraction," he told his crew. "While our people evacuate, we make enough noise to keep the Council looking in the wrong direction." The Defiant headed toward a busy Council trade route. Once there, they began broadcasting unusual energy signatures, making it seem like many ships were gathering. Council security vessels quickly moved to investigate. Just as planned, their focus shifted away from the quiet evacuation happening elsewhere. On the research station orbiting Proxima Helios, Lieutenant Olivia Nelson led her team through darkened corridors. 28 human scientists worked on this joint research project with alien species. All needed to be extracted without raising alarms. "Dr. Klein," Olivia whispered, finding the physicist in her lab. "It's time to go. Bring only essential data. Leave everything else." "But my research," Dr. Klein protested. "Earth needs your mind more than your equipment," Olivia replied firmly. "Our shuttle leaves in 15 minutes. Back on Earth, civilian coordinator Mary Williams faced an enormous challenge. Millions of humans would be returning from Council space. All needed homes, food, and support. "Convert the sports arenas for temporary housing," she instructed her team. "All available ships are being recalled for evacuation. None can be used for supplies yet." Mary looked at population projections on her screen. "We have 3 weeks before the largest waves arrive. We need to be ready." On Sendera Prime, Council representatives noticed human delegates missing from meetings. At first, no one was concerned. Then reports began arriving from across Council space. "The humans on Traxxas IV have closed their embassy," reported a Veluri official. "Their mining operation on the Craxus asteroid belt has been abandoned," added another. Zix Teref's 6 eyes narrowed. What are they planning? Samuel Wright received updates in the secure room of the human embassy. All across Council space, humans were quietly disappearing. So far, the Council hadn't realized the full scale of the operation. 97% of our remote outposts have been evacuated, Melissa told him. The research stations are at 62%. Major colonies at 40%. Samuel nodded. "We're making good progress. How long until the Council figures it out?" "Intelligence suggests 3 days at most before they understand what's happening." "By then it will be too late," Samuel said. "We need to be ready for our final Council appearance. That's when things will get dangerous." Melissa checked her hidden sidearm. "I'll be ready." On a luxury liner bound for Earth, a wealthy Zorthan merchant noticed something strange. The human staff who normally served passengers were all gone. In their place were security officers who politely but firmly directed all non-human passengers to emergency shuttles. "What is the meaning of this?" the Zorthan demanded. "Policy change," the security officer replied simply. This ship is now returning to Earth on urgent business. Across Council space, the pattern repeated. Humans were going home. The Grand Council chamber buzzed with unusual energy. Rumors had spread about the strange human behavior across the galaxy. Samuel Wright and Melissa Carter walked calmly to their seats, aware of the many eyes watching them. High Elder Zixtarath struck the ceremonial chime. This emergency session will address the unusual activities of the human delegation. Ambassador Wright, explain why humans are abandoning their posts across Council space. Samuel stood and walked to the central platform. For once, he had the complete attention of every species present. Esteemed representatives, he began, his voice steady. For 23 years, humanity has attempted to participate in the Galactic Council as equals. For 23 years, we have been ignored, exploited, and disrespected. Angry murmurs filled the chamber. Today, I inform you that Earth is officially withdrawing from the Galactic Council, effective immediately. The chamber erupted in chaos. Some representatives shouted in anger, others in disbelief. Zixtarath struck the chime repeatedly, trying to restore order. You cannot withdraw. The Valeri ambassador, Trelnax, screeched. Your trade agreements, your colonies, they all exist under Council law. Samuel remained calm. All human colonies in Council space have been evacuated. All trade agreements are hereby terminated. This is madness, Zixtarath said. Where will you go? How will you survive without Council protection? That is no longer your concern, Samuel replied. Trelnax suddenly rose from her seat, mandibles clicking in rage. She moved with surprising speed toward Samuel. You will not leave. Guards, detain the human delegation. Melissa Carter stepped forward, placing herself between Samuel and the approaching Valeri. As Trelnax reached out to grab Samuel, Melissa caught the alien's arm and flipped her onto the floor with a single smooth motion. Do not touch the ambassador, Melissa said quietly. Council security forces moved toward them. Samuel tapped his wrist communicator. Now would be good, Captain. Outside the Council building, the human diplomatic ship powered up its engines, drawing the attention of security. Meanwhile, Samuel and Melissa slipped through a side exit, using the distraction. We have 4 minutes to reach the emergency shuttle, Melissa said, checking her wrist display. Council security forces spotted them running through the gardens. Stop the humans, a guard shouted. Energy weapons fired, scorching the path behind them. Samuel and Melissa reached the small hidden shuttle and climbed inside. The engines roared to life as security forces surrounded them. They're blocking our path, Samuel said. Melissa took the controls. Not for long. She activated a special program, and suddenly all lighting in the area went dark. In the confusion, she piloted the shuttle up and away from Xendera Prime. Across Council space, at precisely the same moment, thousands of human ships activated their faster-than-light drives simultaneously. The massive energy surge temporarily overloaded all Council sensor systems. On the bridge of the U.S. Defiant, Captain Eric Mitchell watched the countdown reach 0. All ships, jump now, he ordered. The Defiant's engines hummed with power. Stars stretched into lines, and then they were gone, along with every other human vessel. In the Council's central monitoring station, alarms blared as sensors went offline. When they came back online minutes later, confused technicians searched for the human ships. Where did they go? A supervisor demanded. Unknown, a technician replied. The energy signatures are unlike anything we've seen before. They're just gone. High Elder Zixtarath stared at the empty sensor readings. Find them, he ordered. Use every resource we have. But it was too late. Humanity had vanished. In Samuel and Melissa's small shuttle, they watched the final transmission from Earth. President Bennett's face appeared on the screen. All human ships report successful jump, she said. Welcome to Operation Exodus. Today marks the end of our time with the Council, but not the end of humanity's journey among the stars. New coordinates are being transmitted now. We will rebuild together, free from council interference. Samuel looked at Melissa. Ready? She nodded, inputting the classified coordinates. Ready. Their shuttle jumped to light speed, leaving council space behind forever. 2 weeks after humanity's departure, the Galactic Council chamber looked different. Many seats sat empty. Tensions filled the air as representatives argued loudly with each other. High Elder Zixtarath struck the ceremonial chime repeatedly. Order. We must have order. No one listened. The Arxian representative, a crystalline being named Laertek, stood up. My people face medical emergencies on 12 worlds. Human doctors develop treatments for crystal rot. Now our citizens are dying. From another section, the reptilian Sauric delegate hissed angrily. Trade has collapsed in the outer sectors. Human goods made up 40% of all commerce there. Zixtarath finally managed to quiet the chamber. The humans will return when they realize they cannot survive alone, he said confidently. They are dependent on council resources. The Arxian's crystal body flashed with angry colors. Are they? Or are we dependent on them? My scientists report we've lost 40% of our computational capacity without human quantum algorithms. The humans were just one minor species, Trelnax of the Velari insisted. The council stood for thousands of years before them. We will continue without them. A small, previously quiet representative from the Midorian species stood up. Will we? My world received all our medicine from human factories. Already, people are dying. Reports continued to pour in from across council space. Markets crashed as human goods disappeared. Medical systems failed without human doctors and medicines. Communication networks slowed without human technicians to maintain them. Worst of all, several council species that had been friendly with humans began to withdraw their representatives. The Tellurians have recalled their ambassador, an aide whispered to Zixtarath. That's the 5th species to reduce their council presence this week. Zixtarath's 6 eyes blinked nervously. For the first time in his 300-year political career, he felt fear. A junior Zorthan politician approached him after the session. Elder, the council is blaming our species for driving the humans away. There's talk of removing you from your position. Later that day, an emergency vote was called. The question: should Zixtarath continue as High Elder after the human disaster? The vote was close, but Zixtarath survived by just 2 votes. This is unprecedented, he told his aides afterward. No High Elder has faced a removal vote in 7,000 years. On the Velari homeworld, economic reports showed disaster. Their trading empire had collapsed without human consumers. Factories closed. Ships sat idle in spaceports. Find the humans, the Velari queen ordered her generals. We need them back. The Arxians faced a different crisis. Their advanced computer systems had been designed with human help. Without regular updates, the systems were failing. Our entire civilization depends on computational networks, the Arxian Prime said in an emergency broadcast. If we cannot restore these systems, our society will collapse within 1 standard year. Smaller council species who had been allied with humans began forming their own group. They called themselves the Independent Alliance. The council failed us by driving humans away, their spokesperson announced. We will no longer follow their leadership. The once mighty council began to split into factions. Some blamed the Zorthan and Velari for the crisis. Others insisted on focusing all resources on finding the missing humans. Across the galaxy, worlds that relied on human goods and services fell into panic. Riots broke out on trading planets. Medical facilities were overwhelmed. Military forces struggled to maintain order. In a private meeting, representatives from 7 major species gathered without the Zorthan or Velari present. We must find the humans and convince them to return, said the Arxian representative. And offer what? Asked another. They left because we treated them poorly. We offer them respect, the Arxian replied. Equal status. Whatever they want. Will that be enough? Questioned a third representative. No one had an answer. The humans had vanished completely, leaving nothing but chaos in their wake. The mighty Galactic Council, stable for thousands of years, was crumbling after just 2 weeks without a species they had considered insignificant. The Council war room buzzed with activity. Maps of the galaxy glowed on large screens, with red question marks marking possible human locations. 1 month had passed since humanity's departure, and finding them had become the Council's top priority. "We have authorized the largest search mission in Council history," announced Zixtorath to the gathered commanders. "Every available ship will join the hunt." Admiral Jason Cooper stepped forward. He commanded a small group of human ships that had chosen to remain in Council space. These humans had disagreed with Earth's decision to leave and offered to help find their people. "You're looking in the wrong places," Admiral Cooper said, pointing to the map. "Humans wouldn't hide somewhere obvious." The Ixilon tracker, a tall being with pale skin and large eyes designed for hunting, studied the star charts. Ixilons were famous for finding things that didn't want to be found. "We have detected faint engine trails leading beyond the Andromeda Arm," the Ixilon said, "but the trails vanish at the edge of charted space." They went into uncharted territory. A Velari commander clicked her mandibles in surprise. "That's suicide." Admiral Cooper smiled slightly. "For you, perhaps. Humans have always been explorers." Across Council space, military forces began to mobilize. Some, like the Arctians, wanted to find humans to make peace. Others, particularly the Zorthan, had darker motives. In a secret Zorthan facility, warriors in black armor prepared for deployment. These were the Void Hunters, elite soldiers trained for special missions. "Your orders are simple," their commander told them. "Find the humans. Retrieve their faster-than-light technology. Do whatever is necessary." On distant worlds, an unexpected development emerged. Small groups of humans had refused to leave with the main exodus. These cultural enclaves declared themselves independent from both Earth and the Council. On the tropical world of New Hawaii, human settlers gathered in their main colony square. "We've built lives here," said their leader, Governor Alice Bennett. "This is our home now. We are not leaving." The local alien population, the peaceful Lorians, stood with them. "These humans are our friends," their chief announced. "We will protect them." Similar scenes played out on a dozen worlds. Some humans had formed deep bonds with alien communities and chose to stay. The Council wasn't sure how to respond to these independent human settlements. Far beyond Council space, Captain Karen Robinson commanded the human scout ship Horizon. Her mission was to patrol the edge of human-controlled space, watching for Council pursuers. The Horizon's sensors detected a fleet of ships approaching from Council territory. "Looks like they found our trail," Karen told her crew. "We need to warn Earth." Her communications officer frowned. "If we send a message, they might detect it and follow the signal back to our new location." Karen faced a difficult choice. "We need to lead them away from Earth's new position. Set course to intercept. We'll make them follow us in the wrong direction." The Horizon turned and headed toward the approaching Council ships. It was a dangerous mission, but one that might buy their people precious time. Meanwhile, deep in the uncharted regions of space, Council spies reported rumors of a new power emerging. Traders from beyond known space spoke of humans forming alliances with previously unknown alien species. "These reports are troubling," Zixtorath told the Council. "If humans are building new relationships beyond our borders, they could return with allies." Trelnax of the Velari dismissed these concerns. What kind of species would they find in uncharted space? Primitives and outcasts. Nothing more. An Arctian representative's crystal body flashed with warning colors. "Do not underestimate humans again. That mistake is why we face this crisis now." As the debate continued, a Zorthan science vessel made a disturbing discovery. Analysis of the human jump signatures showed they had somehow improved their faster-than-light technology. They had traveled farther and faster than should have been possible. How did they do this? The lead scientist wondered. "Their technological progress is accelerating without us." The implication was clear and frightening. Humanity wasn't weakening in isolation. They were growing stronger. 1 year had passed since humanity left Council space. In a star cluster previously unexplored by the Council, humans had found a new home. The system contained 4 habitable planets orbiting a stable yellow star, much like Earth's sun. On the second planet, now named Independence, a new human capital city was rising from the plains. Construction drones buzzed overhead, building homes and offices. In the center of the growing city, a government complex housed Earth's leadership. President Laura Bennett stood at the window of her new office, watching the sunset over the mountains. The sky here was slightly more purple than Earth's, but beautiful in its own way. "Madam President, the ministers are ready," her aide announced. In the meeting room, Samuel Wright, now Minister of Interspecies Relations, displayed holographic images of 3 alien species. "These are our new neighbors," he explained. "The Luminar, the Marins, and the Vulturi. None are part of the Council." The Luminar were crystalline beings similar to the Arctians, but taller and glowing with inner light. The Marins were aquatic, with blue skin and large eyes. The Vulturi resembled tall, slender humans with silver skin. "They all share something in common," Samuel continued. "The Council pushed them out centuries ago, just like us." Chief Scientist Daniel Lewis presented his report next. "We've established advanced planetary defense systems around all 4 colony worlds. The system is designed to prevent detection by Council sensors." He displayed a complex diagram. "We've created a shield that bends light and other detection methods around our planets. To outside observers, this system appears empty." "What about our new allies?" President Bennett asked. "The Luminar have amazing technology," Daniel replied. "They've helped us improve our faster-than-light drives by 30%. The Marins are excellent biologists and have already helped us adapt crops to the local soil." Melissa Carter, now head of security, added, "The Vulturi were a warrior species before the Council pushed them out. They're helping train our defense forces." Samuel Wright looked thoughtful. "These species have been isolated for centuries. They're excited to form new relationships." "And trade?" asked the economic minister. "Booming already," Samuel confirmed. "The Luminar particularly value our art and music. They've never experienced anything like it." On the edge of the system, human engineers worked alongside Luminar technicians to build a massive space station. The station would serve as a hub for the growing alliance. Mike Lewis, a young engineer, found working with the Luminar fascinating. They communicated through light patterns that human translators converted to speech. "Your people build quickly," the Luminar named Brill told him. "It took the Council centuries to accomplish what you've done in a year." "We've had a lot of practice starting over," Mike replied. "Human history is full of new beginnings." Nearby, a meeting between Marin scientists and human doctors was creating new medical treatments. The Marins had cures for diseases humans had struggled with for generations. "This enzyme can repair neural damage," explained Dr. Lisa Evans as she examined Marin medical technology. "It could cure several conditions we thought were permanent." The Marin doctor rippled her blue skin in what humans had learned was a gesture of agreement. "And your surgical techniques will save many Marin lives. Together, we advance faster than alone." In the military training grounds, human soldiers practiced alongside silver-skinned Vulturi warriors. The Vulturi moved with incredible speed and grace, teaching humans new fighting techniques. "Your species is adaptable," the Vulturi commander observed. "You learn quickly." President Bennett ended the ministerial meeting with an important announcement. "Today we officially establish the Free Systems Alliance, an alternative to the Galactic Council. Our charter emphasizes equality, mutual respect, and free exchange of knowledge." The ministers applauded. It was a historic moment. Later, Samuel Wright found the president alone, looking at the stars. "Do you think the Council is still searching for us?" she asked. "Without doubt," Samuel replied. "But they're looking for refugees, not what we've become." "And what have we become?" she asked. Samuel smiled. The foundation of something new, something better than what we left behind. 3 years had passed since humanity's departure. The once mighty Galactic Council chamber was half empty. Many species had withdrawn their representatives. The grand building, once bustling with activity, now felt hollow and abandoned. High Elder Zixtareth looked much older. His blue skin had faded to a pale gray. The stress of the past 3 years showed clearly. The economic reports are dire, reported a Zorthan economic advisor. 70% of council worlds now face severe depression. Trade networks continue to collapse. Trellnax of the Velari could barely contain her anger. Our colonies in the outer systems are revolting. They blame us for driving humans away and causing this disaster. The situation had grown worse with each passing month. Several mid-tier species had followed humanity's example and left council space. Rumors spread about a new alliance forming beyond council borders. The Tellurians have officially withdrawn from the council, announced in aid. That makes 12 species in the past year alone. The Zorthan and Velari, once the dominant powers of the council, now faced internal problems too. Resource shortages led to unrest on their homeworlds. Their military forces were stretched thin trying to maintain control. As the council meeting descended into familiar arguments, an alert sounded. A ship had appeared at the edge of Sendera Prime's space. Sensors indicate it's a human vessel, reported a technician. The council chamber fell silent. After 3 years of searching without success, humans had suddenly appeared on their doorstep. "Bring the ship's communication on screen," ordered Zixtareth. The large display lit up, showing a human woman with short blonde hair. Many recognized her as Melissa Carter, former aide to Ambassador Wright. "Greetings, council representatives," she said formally. "I come as representative of the Free Systems Alliance." "Where have you been hiding?" demanded Trellnax. "The council demands to know the location of human territory." Melissa smiled slightly. "I'm not here to answer demands. I bring a message from our alliance." She activated a data transmission. The Free Systems Alliance is now open to establishing relations with individual species. However, we will not deal with the council as an entity. The implications were clear. The humans were offering direct relationships that bypassed council authority entirely. "This is outrageous," Zixtareth protested. "All diplomatic contact must go through proper council channels." "That is your rule, not ours," Melissa replied calmly. "My diplomatic shuttle will remain in orbit for 3 days. Any species wishing to send representatives to meet privately may do so." The transmission ended, leaving the council in chaos. Representatives immediately began arguing about how to respond. The Arxian representative stood up. "My government has authorized me to meet with the human diplomat immediately." "The Gorvan Confederation will also send representatives," announced another. One by one, almost every remaining council species declared their intention to meet with Melissa. The Zorthan and Velari watched in growing horror as their authority crumbled. "You cannot do this," Zixtareth shouted. "The council has stood for millennia." No one listened. Representatives hurried from the chamber, eager to secure meetings with the human diplomat. In the newly built city of New Washington on Independence, Samuel Wright and President Bennett watched the diplomatic feed from Melissa's ship. "They're responding exactly as we predicted," Samuel noted, pouring 2 glasses of champagne. "Every species except the Zorthan and Velari wants direct talks." President Bennett took a glass. "How long before the council completely dissolves?" "At this rate, 6 months, maybe less," Samuel replied. "The Free Systems Alliance already includes 37 species. After Melissa's mission, that number will likely double." They stood at the window overlooking the thriving city. In just 3 years, humans had built a new civilization. The streets bustled with humans and their alien allies. Children played in parks while adults worked in buildings that combined architectural styles from multiple worlds. "I wonder if the council understands what happened," President Bennett said thoughtfully. "They treated us as inferiors, but we were the glue holding their economy together. Samuel raised his glass to humanity's new golden age among the stars. Outside the window, a ship bearing the Free Systems Alliance emblem took off, heading to one of the many new colonies. Unlike the Council, the Alliance was expanding, growing stronger each day. The era of the Galactic Council was ending. A new age, led by humanity and its allies, had begun.